Hello, and welcome to The View. This is a...
Oh, you're very demure today.
Well, very demure because it's 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
And so one of the great things that I just felt when I came out here was seeing that we have been able to pick ourselves up and move on and find some joy. And so it's really good to see you all here today, I think.
Yes.
I just wanted to say. And we've got a lot to talk about with 9/11. We have Mayor Rudy Giuliani, who's going to be on with us, talking about lots of different things.
Well,
but
he was, he was considered the mayor of the country. He got us through that terrible time.
yes,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was reading the other day that people whose credit cards have an expiration date of 9/11 changed it. They,
not be reminded.
Yeah, they want to be reminded of it, and they did it. The companies did it.
All of those things. But tonight, I want to let you know that, Barbara, you're on 20/20. You're sitting down with LaToya Jackson for her first in-depth interview since the death of her brother, Michael. And I hear it's very, very shocking.
It's her first television interview. It's the first time she has spoken out on my old stomping ground, 2020. I was amazed that she was so blunt. She signed the death certificate, by the way. She's very close to her brother, She looks just like him, except with the long hair. She planned the funeral. She talks about the children, how they're going to be raised. She talks about their biological parents. She talks about her own terrible marriage. She talks about everything. But most of all, she says he was murdered. He was murdered. Why don't I let you hear what she says, and then we can talk about it.
I knew something terrible would happen at the end, not to mention the fact that Michael constantly told me, LaToya, if I die, they're going to murder me, they're going to kill me. He would tell me that, Barbara, and that's when Michael passed. When I found out he had actually passed, I said, no, it wasn't an accident. He was murdered.
Your brother was murdered.
I always believed that from day one. I said, I'm not going to accept anything else, Barbara. They could have told me a heart attack. They could have told me he had fallen off a ladder, and I would have said, no, it's not a heart attack. He was murdered.
So,
How was he murdered? Did she say?
She talks about that. Well, we know that it was a homicide, and we know that it's because he was given certain drugs and the mix-up of those drugs. But why and who and what the reason for it is what she talks about, a so-called shadow entourage. And then she talks about who she thinks they are. But that's the word that she uses, not this was accidental. Or he was murdered. And
does the entire family agree with her on this?
They seem to. Joe Jackson has said the same thing. It was also wasn't just that part of it. When she talks about how he was dressed at the funeral, what he looked like, what the children did, what they put in the casket. I mean, it was such an open and frank and shocking interview. Yeah.
Did she talk about her, because everybody's talking about, is Joe going to be around the children? Yeah. Did she mention
She says the most wonderful things about Joe. A lot of it I didn't even put in because it was so, he was the most wonderful father. Yes, he was disciplined, but, Michael made his peace with him. She loves him, so on.
That's very interesting.
But he was not in the will, and he is not, per se, bringing up the children as Catherine.
well, you can see the full interview tonight on 20/20 at 10 p.m. right here on ABC or ABC for those of you who don't speak Spanish.
Do it in French.
Un, deux, trois. No, that's 1, 2, 3. See? Look, we'll be right back with Rudy Giuliani.